Good morning, Jack. Sorry it's taken me a little bit of time from Wednesday to get this all ready for you. I was waiting on, a few different images to come through. What Miss Khan has managed to do is she's taken some photographs, which I'm going to go through with you now in this PowerPoint. I am going to also upload this as a PDF. Certainly to inside Microsoft Teams as well, so that you've got this. I might also put it up on Google Drive, so you've got it. These are all the images that Miss has actually created. Let me do it full screen for you. To go through them, we'll come back to this one, but you should have most of these bits and pieces already, and certainly we've gone through this together individually. First of all, you've got your design brief and who your primary client is, as well as the product introduction. So it's talking about generally what you're going to do. Now we've been through this. I'd like you to go through, check what you've got on here, check it against this one, because this is the one Miss Khan has put forward as being the perfect example for us, and so therefore this is your Bible, if you like, for your coursework. We've done the mind map. I'm quite pleased with how you've done that one. I don't think we need to dwell on it much more, but by all means check over and see if you can improve it. And then we had our product considerations, which is a precursor to our specification. Now, in this particular one, I think this is Ben's, it has, no, it's actually Callum, it actually says down here in the bottom here. He's actually gone over and he's color-coded all of these. We did the same type of thing so that we can talk about different parts that we need to research into. Now, we did go through this, make sure that's all sorted out as well. And then we've got here the additional research plan. Now, each of these sections you can see, as Miss has actually put in, it has got in what they actually do, so other visits and also visits. So conduct a location visit to determine style and floor plan, conduct a location visit to check that designs can operate in the environment. So remember that we were talking about where your actual products are going to be used. For you, it's in that lovely area that you've got within that container unit, but that you are an oddity in having that one. Your product should not be designed for people who have containers, because it just won't sell very many. It's got to be for a standard garage. Now, I'll see if I can take a photograph of my garage a bit later on today and upload those, but I'm sure you have access to a standard garage. So I'd like you to be doing as much as possible, because it should be that sort of space that we're looking at, a standard garage, maybe a double garage, but certainly a standard one, because that's where your product is supposed to be being used. We've got the general sort of research on here, and you can see the research methods of usage, production in current markets, research ways to achieve a certain criteria, research into materials. I don't know if we've done research into materials, and that's an area. And then you've got other research, things like ergonomics and etc. that we've started going through. There is this research plan and product design possibilities. I apologise, these images were taken by Miss Khan other than myself, but so they are quite difficult to read, so I'm going to skip over that one. We've had a look at this one, which is the client and target market research. Check through that you've got a page like this one. This is page number 5, where we have got how would your product be used. We talked about this, which of these speakers appeal to you most, which are the materials and finishes, what sustainability and sustainable products and materials could you use, what will storage unit be used to store. So you need to think about what we could use as sustainable things, like, obviously mild steel is one of them, but the plastic that we're using is not necessarily sustainable. Or is it? Maybe it could be recyclable or recycled, because that could open up a whole new area. So maybe you look into that one. You've got, this is all the different sort of questions that we've got with this target market research. And then you've got the private client interview and conclusion. So what he's done here is he's gone through these ones. And we did that, obviously, that questionnaire, and then had those sort of, those individual conclusions and then overall conclusion. Primary interview should be your dad, your uncle that we've discussed. What is it they want to get out of this? How are they going to get out? If you wish me to do an interview verbally, then I can do as well. Just send me over the questions that you want me to answer, and I can do it just like this, or via the audio feedback. You can download it as an MP3, so we can do that remotely as well. Design specification I'm going to come to in a short while, because that one should come at the end. So this is where we're working towards. So ignore that. And then you've got your product research where you're talking about product analysis. So these ones are just off from the internet. We've got the function, ergonomics, materials, scale of manufacturing, form, cost, and the summary of it. Now we're doing these bits and pieces with your low, middle, and high crawler boards. You really need to think about how they've been made, the materials that have been used, scales of production, positive, negatives, summary in that one. You can see here that Callum's got 4 of those, and they're all nice and detailed. You don't have to do it in this exact same format. We were looking at them in additional format. Make sure that is all out of the way. It's primary part kind of research. It would be better to do a more hands-on one, and I think, there we go, we've got a little bit more on, here we go, existing product. Now this one, your crawler board is something you could be really getting on with, and that is what we call a product disassembly. So if we think back here, that's more a product analysis where you're just getting images from the internet. Not my favourite, I have to say. This one is far more worthwhile because you're looking at actual items from multiple views and really analysing it. Now he's doing it with this, with the speakers and etc. So he's brought the speakers in as well, and it's really, really detailed. I'm not sure that you can actually see that particularly well. Let's have a look. It's not very easy to read. The wire meshing is made from carbon steel, so it can be coloured to fit with the rest of the device. So you can get some of them, but not all of them, I must admit. But it gives you the flavour of this one. You should be able to use that Access FM. So if you've got any sort of doubts about that, search Access FM, all one word, and it'll bring up all those key points. That's a kind of GCSE standard one, but it does give you, thinking about aesthetics, thinking about the customer, the cost, the ergonomics, the safety, the materials, the production, the function of the item. These are the areas that when you're doing product analysis, have a look at those and try to do them as much as is humanly possible. You've got materials research, really thinking about the materials research page. Don't think we've done this one. You've got the material on the left hand side, the description, the advantages and the disadvantages as well. So have a look at those and start to think about, right, well, what is it that I really, really need? What could I use? So with yours, it's going to be things like, well, mild steel that's going to be painted, and then what type of plastic are you thinking of having on the top? We discussed vinyl over the top of a foam. Think that's a good idea. I want you to describe it, advantages, disadvantages. Why are you choosing these particular materials? What do they mean? As different possibilities. So we could think about the different plastics. You could have something which is a more environmentally suitable product, so you could think about first recycled plastics. There's loads of those. Polypropylene can be easily recycled, and you can give it recycled polypropylene. High impact polystyrene as well could be a possibility, but maybe you want to do PLA, polylactic acid, which is from the stuff they use in 3D printers, but polylactic acid is environmentally friendly. It's made from corn starch in essence, so it's made from sweet corn, if you like. So have a look at those ones, but there are advantages and disadvantages to those. Petrochemicals obviously have disadvantages, but they are a lot more robust than polylactic acid. Maybe an ABS plastic could be one. I want to see you thinking about it. So same sort of chart, advantages, disadvantages, which materials are we thinking they're going for? So for example, stainless steel you could use, you wouldn't have to paint it, but it's a lot more expensive, difficult to weld. Mild steel, easy to get over, cheap, but it rusts. So, you've got to weigh those up, easy to weld. I want to see that. You can see these material components continue. That then moves on to this where you've got the process of production as well. So you can see on the right hand side we've got 2 bits just here and here injection molded. So thinking about those processes that you are going to be using, and then sustainability, what we've been discussing, is such an important aspect to be thinking of, Jack. It really is. Component research as well. you're not necessarily going to be having speakers, but you are going to have LED lights, the switches, the magnets, those things that you're thinking of adding in. Remember, we've discussed about having little trays down the right hand side. You could be looking at those. So a component can be the LED lights with a flexible neck on it. How are they're going to be purchased in? Because I know that we're not necessarily going to have the flexible neck if you're making your prototype. You've got specific component research where we're going into that one. I might ask Miss to take a better picture of that one. And then there's extra research as well for the different materials. What I think would be best for you to do, I want you to have a look through this, compare it to yours. I think we need to get a little bit of feedback in two different ways. I think the best way of doing it, because I can talk to you directly, is you to email me images. Bear in mind that if you take images, they're going to be very, very large. I'm taking images of your work or scans of your work. I can have a look through it and give you verbal feedback using that verbal feedback website, or even do you another video where I talk about, right, you see you've done this here, as if I was looking at your portfolio. So let's start to try and get that going. You can create a PowerPoint, by the way. I can do it very quickly. If you need to get a load of images taken of your work, and just like I've done here, you can go insert in PowerPoint, and then instead of just pictures, see this photo album. Now if I go to the photo album one, it allows me to create a new photo album. Now I can choose a whole selection of images. So if you take them with your phone, put them into PowerPoint, create a PowerPoint for me of your work so far, if you print it out, or if you've got it in the PowerPoint anyway. Then what you can actually have a look at doing is sending it to me via PDF, because they tend to be quite large. So instead of actually saving it, you do export as a PDF. Now if you send me this one, I can have a look through it, do you a video as a feedback as well, and we can start getting that back and forth, and I can give you, and it'll almost be as if we were sat next to one another. I can obviously be at the end of the email. I'm going to do this as coursework example, you can see there, and I'm going to upload it onto Insight for you as well. I'll put this as a link. If you're unsure whereabouts to find these videos that I'm using, it's going to be on, if you search Mr. Sutton DT, you'll find it on the YouTube channel. So we can do it through there as well. And of course you can add comments to the video if you've got any problems, they'll pop up. So all these means of communication, there's no reason why we can't have the same sort of level that we've had previously on that one-to-one level, and I'll certainly help you out. So hope you're well, hope you're keeping well as well, and I will speak to you soon. Get back to me as soon as you've got some bits and pieces for me to have a look through.